Let's go to our main man now, Jeff Kerr, joining the show from CBS Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at Jeff Kerr CBS. Jeff, the Disney man returns. What's going on, brother? How was your trip to Florida?
Disney was fun. Clearwater was fun. I traded morons up here for morons down there.
Nice. I was hoping to get a surly after your travel difficulties.
Oh, don't ever go to the Orlando airport. That's, I told someone off on Twitter Sunday night, one of those, I got to buy an X account because I want to feel important type people. I don't know how some of these people.
Yeah, I didn't know people do that. People do that.
Yeah, and I said,
they buy Twitter accounts of strippers.
It's so funny, right? So this person sends me a picture of the radar, right, about the airport. Oh, I'm sorry, you're grounded or something stupid like that. And I said, this has nothing to do with the storms. I said, you have no idea what you're talking about. It's the inefficiency from just lines at the airport. There's no direction toward anything. They don't tell you where tram cars go. The bathrooms are dirty. It's a mess.
Orlando's awful.
Yeah, and you know what?
By the way, Mike Gill was talking about that yesterday. Orlando's awful. It's awful.
Oh yeah. Well, Gill even saw that and responded, yeah, I've had problems when it's sunny and 80 degrees.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with the storms.
Well, I said, because I was talking about yesterday, we moved you because you weren't able to get back when you're supposed to get back, but because it was windy here. It was windy. It was very windy.
That's what I heard. It's
but ever since COVID, I said yesterday on the show, the airline industry has just given up. I mean, they're like, all right, F it. You're screwed. You're traveling. Hopefully you'll get there today. Maybe not. We'll get there. We'll get you there eventually. But of all the industries in this country, the worst run is the airline industry. There's no customer service. It's a disaster. They don't try to help the customers. I feel for you. Yeah. And now you got to come back to the Philadelphia Eagles, Jeff, and talk about Azeez Ojulari like he's an emerging Myles Garrett, evidently.
I mean, the guy can get to the quarterback. He can't do anything else.
I'll take it. He can get to the quarterback.
Well, Vic, utilize that. All right, let's pretend he can get to the quarterback. And that's debatable.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I'm really stretching it with that.
You have to explain the contract to me, first of all. Because I think there's this mentality that he took less money to come to Philadelphia. Maybe he took a quarter less than the New York Giants.
If he took less money to come to Philadelphia, why did it take him 7 days to sign?
Well, yeah, it's part of the process. But is there any belief that somebody offered him $10 million, Jeff Kerr, but he came here to play with his friends and play with the Super Bowl champions?
I think he came here because there's an opportunity to play, and he saw what's at edge rusher.
That's true too. He might get an opportunity. Josh Uche was talking about that. There's an opportunity here. And if you can get on the field, and then I had somebody else saying, why not make it a 2-year deal and keep him under contract? Well, he wants to get right back to free agency. That's smart.
My buddies in Kansas City and I won't give names, but they're important people in the Chiefs said, hey man, if he gets a sack for the Eagles, he already did more than he did with us.
Yeah, he barely played. But, we talked to Josh. He was on Zoom with us yesterday. Was it yesterday? Whatever. Everything runs together. But he's, he only played, I think, 87 snaps when he got traded. And it's like, if you're trading for the guy and you're not going to play him, well, it could be the Chiefs' fault or it could be Uche's fault that he did something to piss somebody off.
From what my understanding is, it was more of the Chiefs miscalculated, and they basically put a square peg in a round hole. He just wasn't Spagnuolo, didn't fit that defense.
Yeah. Well, that's part of it. So I asked you about Ojulari. For people said, all right, he's a one-trick pony. Well, Vic didn't seem to like a one-trick pony in Bryce Huff. So why is he going to like a one-trick pony with Azeez Ojulari?
I think it's just an opportunity. I think you got to get bodies, and that's a body. I'm like you, John. They are not done at edge rusher by any.
No.
They can't be.
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second.
No, I don't either. Something's gonna happen. They're gonna make a move.
Yeah, I think it's going to be somewhat meaningful, whether it's trade market or draft. With
And
that
they have,
first
and
pick.
they all of a sudden they have a ton of draft capital.
Yeah. And they could trade draft capital for a meaningful player. But I find it very hard to believe they're going to go into next season with Nolan Smith and either Jalix Hunt or Azeez Ojulari as their two edge rushers.
Yeah,
I find that very hard to believe.
And Bryce Huff.
Yeah, I we'll see what happens with Bryce Huff. It doesn't make a lot of sense to trade him at this point. You might as well reboot it for one more year, see what happens. But if Vic doesn't like the player, Vic doesn't like the player too. At some point, you got to say, all right, we got to pull the plug. If that's the case, and maybe that is. But those two players and Dallas Goedert, I don't want to compare them because Dallas is successful. I also find it hard to believe that they're going into a season with Grant Calcaterra and Harrison Bryant or the other kid. I always forget his name.
Kylan Granson.
Kylan Granson.
You know what? I actually liked him in the Bryant signings. I think they provide significant depth.
Yeah, I think Bryant is an NFL player. But again, are you going to count on Grant Calcaterra as the tight end one and Harrison Bryant as the tight end two?
Yeah, and Kylan Granson, who I mean, look, let's be fair to Kylan Granson. Anybody can struggle with Anthony Richardson throwing the football.
Yeah, that's, and I'm not worried about receiving. I'm not.
Yeah.
They are what they are.
But blocking, yeah.
Yeah. And there's not a lot of two-way tight ends left in the NFL. There's sort of an endangered species, guys who can be meaningful in the passing game and also block competently. There aren't a lot of those guys. George Kittle, Dallas Goedert are two of them. Michael Mayer's a name everybody brings up. That if they trade him, I don't get the Raiders. Why would they trade him? I guess Chip doesn't want to use 12 personnel. I don't know, but why can't you have two good tight ends?
I don't know. I don't get a lot of what the Raiders are doing, but I guess they're hitting the reset button. They're probably like, hey, you know what? We sucked last year. We can't get any worse. So let's just keep our only good player we got in Max Crosby, and we'll go from there.
And by the way, Max got paid. Edge rushers get paid, Jeff. Doesn't that?
Hey, always get paid.
Bryce Huff got paid, baby.
Bryce Huff's contract is not even that bad compared to a lot of these guys.
It's pretty bad compared to Azeez Ojulari, Jeff.
All right, talk me down off the contract roof.
Like, about
why?
Azeez?
Yeah. Why? He's 24 years old. Why is he getting a 1-year deal for $4 million? And let's be honest, it's probably not a real $4 million.
I think I kind of said it in the first minute. He can get to the quarterback, but he can't really do anything else.
Yeah, but they pay people who can get to the quarterback and can't do anything else. That's my point.
I'm telling you, he's one of those guys where I know there are people get mad at this, but if you would say Azeez Ojulari is not going to make the 53-man roster, I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I mean, the Eagles can move on from all 9 of these players, 8, because Charlie Hewlett, as Zander pointed out.
That's what I got a little upset about when I was scrolling X when I was waiting in lines, and people are like defending Harrison Bryant. And look, I'm okay with that, right? I think he's a good player too. Harrison Bryant, Kylan Granson, Josh Uche, whoever. But I'm like, I hope these guys know, like, they can be cut, like, very quickly.
Oh yeah, they know that. They know the contracts they sign. They're well aware that they could be cut if they don't perform.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, John. I'm shocked we didn't get into, and again, I wasn't on last week because I would have said straight up on here, I don't think CJ Gardner-Johnson's going to be an Eagle too much longer.
Oh yeah, well, we can get into CJ because you weren't here this week. That's the one move that I think surprised some people.
I wasn't surprised at all.
Well, most people, you've seen some of the, shall we say, high maintenance aspects of CJ. And look, I've said it pretty consistently. They need to create cash for impending extensions.
Yep.
Cam Jurgens probably coming first. Jalen Carter's coming up soon, and he's going to reset the market at defensive tackle. Even Reed Blankenship, which I think is a player that will surprise, because the Eagles really like him. But
Slay is not wrong on Reed Blankenship.
No. Well, he said what he said was factual, but I think if there weren't the maintenance issues with CJ, they wouldn't have went looking to generate cash that way. So I do think the off the field stuff plays into it a little bit.
I was really bothered by how Darius Slay is all of a sudden a heel. I was really bothered by it.
Yeah, I'm always because Slay is and Slay's got that giant personality, so I think that rubs people the wrong way, which is ironic.
You want these guys to be honest, and then they're honest.
Yeah, exactly. But he was a great teammate. He's always helping younger players. Talk to Quinyon and Cooper, and what he meant to them. 3-time team captain.
Isaiah Rodgers loved him.
Yeah. Everybody loves him. Everybody loves him.
Well, everybody loves him except the guy who got traded.
Well, even he loved him until he told the truth. But yeah, I mean, and funny, I mentioned that on the show. Zander can tell you. Vic confirmed that. Reed's the leader on the field. Reed's the guy who gets people lined up correctly in the secondary. So, I mean, Vic Fangio's already confirmed that.
I had a couple guys in Houston that, Houston Raiders, they wanted to know more about him, like why he's on so many teams in all these years. And like they like how they got him, but like there's a lot of red flags. They were asking me some red flags, and they were watching some of his tape, and they're like, yikes. I said, yeah, don't look at the stats fully with him.
Yeah, he's a playmaker, but he's also, that's another underreported part of it. I think, if there's one guy who freelance, Vic's about discipline, do your job. Bill
he's not a do
Belichick
your job
mentality.
guy. He's an improvise at your job.
Exactly. So that factored into it as well. A little bit too much freelancing, but he makes plays, and that's what people notice. I mean,
you know what, John? This is what always bothered me about this industry. And I had a couple buddies say this to me when I was in Disney, and I'm trying to explain to them, oh, it's funny how you say that now. I'm like, no, I said that to you 2 weeks ago. You just didn't want to listen.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm in that boat all the time.
Yeah, I know. We're all in that boat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still a little bit surprised they moved on, because he's not terribly expensive. But I always say it's not just about the moment. And all of a sudden, they lose Mekhi Becton down the road, and now they have another reclamation project. Like, why aren't people more excited about Kenyon Green? I mean, part of it's just,
I am.
part of it's just offensive line, but this guy's the 15th overall pick. So you're talking about pedigree with Ojulari.
Who they liked at the time. They liked him.
They really liked him at the time. And he's working with Jeff Stoutland. All due respect to Jeremiah Washburn, he ain't Jeff Stoutland.
Yeah. This is always like kind of to me, it's a red flag with athletes on social media. When CJ was doing that stuff a week before free agency, I'm like, dude, this is the wrong time of year to be doing that. This is the wrong time. This is how you lose a contract. This is how You may not get a contract, and he should know because this is exactly what happened to him 2 years ago.
Well,
some people don't learn.
If you're in the CJ Gardner-Johnson business, you know some of this is coming.
Yeah.
You just know. I mean, I'm with that. I try to be as fair as possible. I think the Eagles would have wanted Slay to stay away from his podcast. I think
they would too.
I think they want AJ to stay away from social media. I think they want even Kelsey when he was still playing. It's like, I don't think they loved New Heights. Why would they?
No. But again, maybe I see this as media member or as fans of like other stuff. Look, I'm a big racing guy. I love when drivers express their personalities. And the biggest problem going on in NASCAR right now is not a lot of these guys do that. And the two that do, everybody shits on them because they express their opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean, they want validation, I would say, fans of every team, not just the Eagles. They want validation. They don't want honesty. They think they want honesty, but they don't want honesty.
Yeah. So when Slay's honest, oh, he's a me guy. No, he's not a me guy. That's a persona.
Yeah, I think the perception is, and one of the things, it's like, why don't you have Slay on? Why don't you have this player on? Why don't you have this player on? And then you don't want them to tell the truth. Why the hell would I want somebody on who's not telling the truth? It's one or the other.
Yeah.
But they just want, hey, we're great. We won the Super Bowl.
And there are outlets for that. There are.
There are many. That's easy to find.
Yeah.
That's very easy to find.
Yeah. I'm doing this with the Phillies right now. People don't want to hear it. Justin Crawford. Well, I think people actually do want to hear this. Justin Crawford's probably going to be the center fielder of the Phillies by this time next season. I think they want to hear that, but they're like, "Why not this season?" I'm like, because he just got the Double-A.
Yeah, sometimes it takes some time, and then the Nolan Smith stuff. It's like he's garbage, and then now he's foundational.
Well,
after half a season,
he had 4.5 sacks in the playoffs, so people are high on him coming off the end of last year. Nobody's saying
they should be high on.
I agree. They should be high. They should be high on him.
They should be high. Yeah, they should be high on Jalix Hunt, but you can't just pencil him in as
he's an all-pro. That's not how it works.
That's all I'm saying.
But I think he showed enough that you feel confident in building your edge rushing room around the player. I think people feel confident with him as the number one. I certainly do. I mean, I get it. He still has to show more, and I was out on Nolan Smith last year. I didn't think he could I didn't think he could do it. Well, 4.5 sacks in the playoffs, my opinion, doesn't mean shit. I like him. I think he has a chance.
I said the same thing.
I think he has a chance too.
Yeah, but I said the same thing 20 years ago with Derek Burgess. I loved Derek Burgess as a kid. I always thought if he could stay healthy, he would be that type of player. And he has that big playoffs in 2004 with the Eagles, leaves for the Raiders for free. I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of money to give to him. But, let's see if he can capitalize on it. He led the NFL in sacks one year. He lived up to that contract.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
I think he's has tremendous potential. But again, if you look, this is a position that the NFL is obsessed over because the mentality is either get the quarterback, and if you don't have the quarterback, you better get to the quarterback.
Look at the 10 highest paid non-quarterbacks in football. You see the two positions that are paid, John?
Yeah, I mean, edge rusher and there's certain positions. Andy Reid's whole philosophy holds up. You got to pay your edge rushers, you got to pay your corners, or the best case is you draft them. The best case is you draft good players, and then you at least have them under somewhat cost effective for 3-4 years. And for the bad teams, they look at it as first round picks, top 15 picks. It's generally, if Tony Dungy, I'm going to butcher this, used to say, if you're in the top 15, you got to get somebody who either throws or scores touchdowns or prevents touchdowns if you're in the top 15, because those are the players you're going to have to pay down the road, pay extent. So you want quarterbacks, wide receivers, edge rushers, cornerbacks. Those are the guys you're going to have to pay.
I have to ask you, what are your thoughts on Trey Hendrickson?
Very good player.
That's how I feel.
Very good player. Well, that's what I was talking about. Think about the best edge rushers in the NFL. I'm talking about the Myles Garretts, the Aiden Hutchinsons, TJ Watt, Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons. If you want to go Will Anderson or Danielle Hunter in Houston, because they got 2 of them.
Yeah, they're blessed.
And they gave away a third. Jonathan Bernard.
Max Crosby. We forgot about him.
Max Crosby. Even Brian Burns in New York is a big-time pass rusher.
Joey Bosa's a big-time pass rusher.
Joey Bosa has been. Those are, and there's probably a couple I miss.
There's always a couple we miss, right?
Those are the best.
There's a kid on Miami. That's.
And by the way, Jared Verse already belongs in that conversation.
Yeah.
And I believe that after talking to Jordan Mailata, he already belongs in that conversation.
Will McDonald's another one. That's all of a sudden he's really good.
My point is that is a premium position in the NFL. Premium position. And the Eagles know that better than anyone.
And that's why I think they're going to.
And that's why I don't think that's why I don't think they're done by any stretch.
No, they're creating something to pay that type of player.
Well, hopefully you can draft him again.
Well, you could do that too.
Hopefully they have drafted him and Nolan Smith. Hopefully they have.
But there were guys you could get in the back end of the first round.
Yeah, they got Nolan Smith at 30. But one of the things, there are some size concerns with Nolan. There are going to be adjustments. So I do have to see more, but he's incredibly gifted from an athletic standpoint.
I think it also helps you got that beast in the middle.
Well, yeah, that helps.
Yeah, that helps.
That helps. That helps a lot. But I'm not going to blame him for that. I hate when people do that to quarterbacks. So, yeah, you take advantage of your best players. Everybody plays. You think Mekhi Becton wasn't helped being next to Lane Johnson?
Of course he was. He was helped being next to Cam Jurgens.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I thought some people about the Chargers. I said, you guys got a good player, but I just hope you guys know there are a place where Lane Johnson and Cam Jurgens make this guy look really, really good.
All right, let's talk about Mekhi. 2 years, $20 million. Now, obviously, the Eagles are being very cost conscious this offseason. So there was no way they were paying that deal. But from your perspective, do you think they should have paid that deal?
I think when they traded for Kenyon Green, Mekhi Becton was gone. I think he was out of the price range. But I did not think that was too expensive for him. I thought that's around what he was going to get. But, I was talking to some people when I was in Clearwater later in the week about it, and it just seemed like he had one foot out the door, but he was waiting for the Eagles to count.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, he was a great story.
He loved it here.
Yeah, he loved it here. He reclamated his career here. He came here to work with Jeff Stoutland, and it clicked. But if you think about it, they're already paying Lane, and they gave him more guaranteed money. They're already paying Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson. All of a sudden, here's Cam Jurgens, who's going to get an extension near the top of the center market. Very difficult to pay 5 offensive linemen $10+ million. That's where you're headed with Cam Jurgens.
Right.
Think of the players you got to pay on this team. And you already paid Zach Bond. You got to pay Jalen Carter. You got to pay Quinyon Mitchell at some point. Cooper DeJean at some point. Reed Blankenship. Cam Jurgens. You can't pay them all.
Yeah. So it's difficult. So I've dubbed it the Temu offseason.
The
All 1 year contracts.
Are you gonna put the whole the ad placement on X?
Sure, why not? Well, that's part of the reason I'm annoyed by the ads, but obviously they work. The whole philosophy of what they're doing, like it, dislike it, understand it.
I get it. Look, even with all these moves, they're still they're a Super Bowl contender because they have the talent.
Are they still, and it doesn't matter, understanding that it's March 18th. They're not playing on March 19th.
No,
so it doesn't matter.
I have to rank the NFC teams by tomorrow, by the way. So.
Well, who are you ranking number? Are they still number one? After all, they're pretty significant attrition. Pretty good players. Are they still number one?
People don't want to hear this. I still think Detroit's the best team in the NFC.
Now, they lost their coordinators.
Yeah. I know. Well, see, that's the thing. Talent-wise, I think but we saw what happened when the Eagles lost. And it's not just the Eagles. This happened to the 95 49ers. This has happened to the 05 Patriots. So that's why I'm ready to – this is how I would do it. Talent-wise, I think it's the Lions. But coaching-wise and talent-wise, it's still Philadelphia.
Well, why do you give the Lions the edge? I'm curious to hear this. Because
they're getting a lot of players.
Team, but
they're getting a lot of players back. They're beating Washington if Aiden Hutchinson and half these guys on that defense playing that playoff game.
By the way, you talk about a foundational pass rusher. There's a foundational.
That's a foundational.
Yes,
that
guy is going to be the highest paid player in football at some point, probably this offseason. But
hopefully he's healthy.
But them losing Carlton Davis was big, though.
Yeah, it was. Did you guys see his opening presser? Where was that? Where was that? New England. That was pretty funny.
It was pretty entertaining, honestly.
Yeah, he thought he was getting claps from the press corps. They're like, "We're not clapping.
We're not clapping.
Yeah, we don't like you that much."
Yeah, it was funny, but no, I think the Lions are good. I don't know. Lost both.
You know what? I think Commanders fans need to pump the brakes a little bit. You're going to play some real teams next year.
I don't know, man. I'll tell you this. This is why I like the Commanders. I'm more confident in Jaden Daniels than I am in Jared Goff.
That's fine. But you're not winning games on Hail Mary throws. You're not winning games because
that's true.
They won 6 straight games pretty much at the buzzer last year. That just doesn't happen.
And by the way, I don't like the moves the Commanders made this offseason. I really don't. I don't think
you don't like the Tunsil move?
The Tunsil move is
I like the Tunsil
That's a great move.
Yeah, I do.
I don't like the Debo move.
I don't either. I thought that was stupid.
Yeah. I don't love the Debo move. I don't love the Javon Kinlaw move.
Why giving $15 million to Javon Kinlaw?
Yeah, what are they
brought back both their tight ends and Zach. I mean, Zach Ertz was good, but I mean, he's 35. He's not going to be a difference maker for you. I don't know. I just don't think they got that much better.
Now,
what, guys? They paid for the high end Temu players.
That's true. I'd rather pay for the low.
Well, yeah. You're not.
If you order something from China, though, John, you get the $1,000 China thing. It's still freaking made in China, or the $150 China thing. I don't know. I'll take the one.
You don't get $15 million players at Temu. That's not the point. You might be wrong about the player, and I think they're wrong about Debo Samuel and Kinlaw specifically. I assume Adam Peters is like, oh, I know him from San Francisco.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. It's the San Fran connection.
Yeah, but they're not Temu players. What if I could tell you JJ McCarthy's going to be a star? Minnesota may have had best free agency of anybody.
Minnesota had a really good free agency. Oh, and by the way, even if they do get Aaron Rodgers, which I don't think they're going to, I don't think they want him. I still think it's good free agency class.
Well, it's great because they've had issues with the interior, and they get Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave on them both sides. They finally got rid of Garrett Bradbury. That might win them the Super Bowl right there.
I thought that. Isn't Ed Ingram gone too?
Yeah, Ed Ingram's gone, and they replace him with Ryan Kelly and your guy.
Yeah,
Will Freeze.
Yeah, Will Freeze. He got paid
$88 million. For those who don't know, and he's admitted it, so I can say it. Kerr named his dog Barkley because he's a Penn State guy. It should be Freeze now. $88 million. You got to get another dog and name him Freeze.
No, because I have a good friend with the last name of Freeze, and he'd probably be flipping out if I did that.
All right. $88 million. He deserves something named after himself. He
No,
might get.
I said, Will Freeze get $88 million? That turnstile when he was at Penn State?
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeff,
Man.
you really named
No,
your
he's
dog
actually a solid
Barkley,
NFL
huh?
player.
You really went down the Barkley route for your dog's name, didn't you?
Yeah, why not?
It's a good dog.
It is a good dog name. It's a good
It's a
dog
good
name.
dog. And you know what? Yeah, I have a nickname for him. It's Barky. So he likes it.
There you go. That's good. That's all that matters is that he likes it. But
It's a Penn State dog.
Freeze. Yeah. Freeze is he might build Penn State a new facility. Will Freeze. So
They're
much
getting a
stinking
new.
money he got.
By the way, John, anything you want to know up at Pro Day next Friday? I'll be up there.
Yeah. Measure the 40-yard field because I'm convinced it's 38 yards at Penn State. I'm convinced they're shaving times because every year.
I joke with a couple current players about that. I'm like, I'll see for myself.
Yeah. Make sure you measure. Bring a 40-yard measurement because I guarantee it's 38 yards. Because Penn State is famous for fudging their numbers.
I wonder if Abdul talks next week because he's supposed to be there.
Yeah, well,
he's
Abdul.
top 5, right? You think he's going top 5, Jeff?
Yes.
Oh, he's got to go top 5.
He's a player, man.
I think he's the best player. I think he's the
only reason I said it is because I do think that surgery thing is a little bit odd. He's like, I don't want to get the surgery. He might end up having to get the surgery. You know how that goes sometimes with players. So I don't know how much of a factor that would be, especially if you're picking in the top 5.
You know, it's so weird because I think overall he might be the best player, but I wouldn't pick him at 1.
I would.
So you would? Okay.
This is a garbage quarterback draft.
It is.
And Cam Ward's going 1.
Oh, by the way, Cam Ward is better than Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, God, yeah.
I am so sick of Shedeur. I am sick of Dion. I hope
Cam
the
Ward
kid's good because
deserves.
I root for players, but dude, I'm just sick of the Sanders act.
Cam Ward is the legit first-round pick.
Yeah,
if this was last year, where you had all the quarterbacks, even if you go down to Penix,
Cam Ward would have went top 10.
And McCarthy, he would have gone behind. Obviously, where'd it go? 1, 2, 3.
It went 1, 2, 3. McCarthy went 10.
He
went 12.
Penix went 8. I don't know about Penix, but because he won 8, he would have went behind McCarthy. He would have been the 6th quarterback in last year's draft, ahead of Nix. And by the way, after Bo proved himself, probably not deservingly, but I think he'd be the 6th quarterback in the draft.
If you had to rank the 6, would you go Daniels, Nix, 1, 2?
I'd go no. I'd still go I'd go Daniels 1, but I had Daniels 1 last year.
I did too.
Williams would still be 2. I think you got to give him. Chicago's done a nice job as well.
I love what they did with that offensive line.
Yeah.
Then getting Joe Thuney and
they've done so I got to see him with an offensive line plus Ben Johnson. He's finally got a coach that will help him. So I still have some hope for Caleb Williams.
Who was the center they got, John? They got a good center too.
The kid from Atlanta, Drew.
Drew.
Drew
Dahlman.
Yeah. He's a good player.
Yeah, Drew
Dahlman.
I was hearing from some people in Chicago, like they're not ruling out bringing it David Jenkins back. I don't know where he's going to play, but
yeah, I thought Cincinnati. I thought Cincinnati was going to get him, but they're spending so much money.
I think Burrow forced their hand.
Yeah, maybe.
I think he did. I think it was, from what I was hearing, it was, you better bring both of those guys back or I'm going to ask for something you don't want me asking for.
Yeah, but and then getting back to the quarterback, Straight May, hopefully New England doesn't ruin him, but he's got tremendous talent. And then I'm not sold on Penix. I'm not sold on McCarthy. by any stretch, but
that offense, there's a lot to help JJ McCarthy.
I think they're better prospects than Cam Ward.
I think there are two, but I like them. Like
I'm Cam Ward's growing on me a little bit. Maybe that's what happens to NFL teams. He's growing on me a little bit as we get a little closer.
I mean, John, if you're the Giants, I know the Giants suck, but if you get Cam Ward, you got to be doing cartwheels, right?
If I'm the Eagles, I'm doing cartwheels. That's another 4 years of misery for the Giants.
I don't know. I don't think Cam Ward will be. I think I'm not as sold on Sanders and the other guys.
Yeah.
Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
If they get Sanders, yeah, he's much better than Sanders. I think he's a legitimate first-round pick. I think if it's a normal year, he's probably 15 to 20 range.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Not that he's not
create. The one thing I like about him is he can escape the pocket and he still has that big arm ability where he can throw the ball down the field. Doesn't struggle with that at all. So, that's one of the reasons I think rookie quarterbacks have succeeded so well in the NFL recently is because, it used to be you're a pocket guy. So until you learn how to dissect the defense pre-snap and know what coverages they're in and make the right read, you're not going to be good. Now with the dual threat, they can break down. If a play breaks down or they don't know their defense well, they can roll out, make a play, make something happen with their legs. So I think Cam's going to have a chance to be.
I want to ask you. I want to ask you guys this because it doesn't bother me as much. But what do you guys think of Shador's attitude? Because that was a big talking point at the combine.
It doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me,
man. It doesn't bother me.
His dad had an attitude. So what?
Yeah, I mean, look, these
Dad's
are great
in the Hall of Fame.
Sometimes those attitudes are what make players great. This is a physical sport. This is an alpha dog versus alpha dog sport. If you go in there with the wrong mentality, you're going to get squashed.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you guys about my one-on-one interview with Dion a couple years ago?
No.
Did he make it? Did he make you call him coach?
So this is my response to him. So he said, "You will call me Coach Prime," and I said, "I'm not going to do that. You were not my coach. You were never my coach. I will never, ever, ever call you coach anything." And he said, "I really respect that answer."
Wow.
I said, "I'm not going to do it." I said, "You were not my coach. You were my coach. I call you coach all day long. I still call my coaches coach."
I have no respect for any reporter that would call him Coach Prime.
Oh, I don't call anybody coach. I can't
make the argument. What's the difference in calling Slay? I mean,
well, he prefers because
he prefers that.
Yeah, he prefers it. I don't have any problem. Like Josh do you like Josh or Joshua? Josh,
right? That's fair.
I have no
I don't go by Jeffrey.
Yeah, I'm not calling people titles. I mean, as Jeff said, he's not my coach. I call him Nick.
That's different. That's true.
I mean, John, are you John or are you Jonathan? Like, was your birth name John?
Yeah. If I prefer Jonathan, I would call myself Jonathan. But the point is, I call Nick Sirianni Nick. I call Jeffrey Lurie Jeffrey.
Yeah, that's what he prefers to be called. And it's funny.
That makes sense.
As a Jeff, and who had a best friend growing up named Jeff, they always try to separate us with Jeff or Jeffrey. And he always said, "I don't want to be Jeffrey." He wants to be Jeff.
There was a whole influx of media people in this town, and you know who I'm talking about. If you're listening,
I do.
I'm not going to roll. They would call Ed Snyder Mr. Snyder. I'm like, no, don't do it.
Yeah,
but they would. And as you see, everybody in that building calls Jeffrey Lurie Mr. Lurie, as they should.
Yes,
he's their boss. He's not my boss.
Yeah. I don't work for him.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey has no problem with it.
That's one thing I
can't say that.
I always liked with a lot of the Philly coaches. Like Ray Rose is always Ray. Andy Reid is always Andy. He's still Andy. Chip was Chip. Doug was Doug. Nick was Nick.
Yeah, that's their names.
Yeah, exactly. It's simple, right? Oh, coach.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
My coach.
Yeah,
it's a good story though with Coach Prime.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because we had a great interview after that. I told him you were one of my best interviews. This is back when he was at Jackson State.
I've always liked Dion.
I told him I'm rooting for you, man. And like he said, I really appreciate that.
I've always liked Dion. I've liked that he does it his way. I think he's been a pretty good role. I mean, the one thing I do like is I think he's trying to mold men, not just players. And I like that about him. But
I defended him when he was like going off on his little like media stuff and he's kicking out media people and this and that. I'm like, you guys do know all colleges do what he's doing. Every single Penn State has the king of doing that.
Yeah, you and Penn State, man. But
I'm just telling you.
Will Freeze is the new king of Penn State.
I mean, you guys saw the Penn State debacle this year when something came up with Franklin and this university read a statement. By the way, the guy at Penn State PR I went to school with, nicest guy in the world. First question was about this controversy. Franklin goes back to the back of the press conference room behind like the banner, and the PR guy comes out and reads the statement again. I'm like, what a Mickey Mouse organization. How the hell does this team win football? Well, they don't win the big football games.
There's the Penn State angst coming out. They can't win the big one.
They can't. Am I wrong?
Are you a Franklin guy?
I like them.
I am.
I like him, but John knows, what I call him.
Oh man, I am not a Franklin guy.
I think he does a good job at his job description. I think he does a good job. They are one of the best recruiting. They get some of the best talent in the country. That's his job.
Yep. I mean, look at the players they're producing in the NFL.
Yeah, look at Abdul Carter. Look at all the Penn.
Tyler Warren.
Yeah, Tyler Warren.
You're right. Penn State's got one of them. I mean, the Eagles got one of them.
Yeah, no, they got. You're right about that, John. I agree with that.
Hey, Chris Godwin's a really good player.
Not my favorite guy. I'll tell you that much. Not my favorite.
I don't know him from.
All right, Jeff. I want to circle back on something.
I will say this: as someone who's talked to him a bit, he is a nice guy. But as a journalist,
nice doesn't mean too much to me. But let me ask you this, Jeff. I want to circle back on something. All right, I'm going to go all the way back to the edge rushers. I know there's 5 of them right now. Nolan Smith, Bryce Huff, Jalix Hunt, Joshua Uche, and Azeez Ojulari.
What about KJ Henry and O'Shawn Mathis?
Yeah, come on,
all right, fine. If you want to rank them all, rank them all. Who are the top 5? What's the top? Because right now, we're laughing about Azeez Ojulari. I said, John,
I'm not laughing at him. I said
he's the number 2 edge on the team right now. He could be.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he is, but he could be. What's your ranking of these guys, man?
All I'm trying to say, by the way, you're right before you do it, Jeff. You're right, Zander. That's a problem. That he could be the second best.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
I know it is.
You're right, Zander. That's the problem. I agree with John. You're right. That's the problem.
Yeah, it could be. But
okay, I'll rank them quick. Nolan 1, Jalix 2. Josh Uche is going to be 3. Azeez 4. Anybody over Bryce Huff is 5.
Wow. John had Huff at 2 yesterday.
Yeah. By the way, there's 2 different equations. There's the Eagles equation, which they want Nolan to be 1, Jalix to be 2. And then you can debate. They might want Bryce out. Then you could, I would say, Azeez 3. I'm taking Bryce up out of it. Azeez 3, Josh 4, then Patrick Johnson.
I'm the guy flipping out. I'm the guy flipping out in line for Space Mountain last week because they lost Dorian Burks. I'm like, who the heck's going to play linebacker for this team?
The problem is, I think Zander's right in the reality of the situation. Again, taking Bryce up out. Nolan Smith is 1, Azeez is 2, Josh is 3, Jalix is 4. Just in where they are in their developments. And that ain't good enough. That second list.
No. I'm telling you, this fan base, they're going to be pretty excited if they get somebody. And I think John knows where I'm going with this.
Yeah, well, they should be pretty excited. But I don't think it's over at edge rusher. I refuse to believe it's over.
Wait, Jeff, what are you referring to, Jeff?
They're going to get a big-time pass rusher. I don't know who it's going to be.
It's not going to be Trey Hendrickson, is it?
I don't know. I mean,
too expensive.
That's what I thought.
He's too expensive. I don't think he'll be back with the Bengals, though.
I don't think he's coming here for $4 million.
Maybe. If you add a 0 to it, he might come here.
Yeah, maybe. Add a zero. Maybe 40.
And you know what? I'd
Yeah.
pay him. I'd pay him.
I don't know, man.
I'm not going to go 40, but yeah, he's closer to. I'll tell you what, he's closer to 40 than 4.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I give him 2 years, $80 million and say, come play edge rusher. That'll work.
He's really good. He is really good. I don't know. It's because he plays in Cincinnati, but boy, he has been productive.
Man, he was good with the Saints, and it just went so unnoticed.
Yeah.
So unnoticed. That's another thing, John. One off-season move of the Bears I like. My boy is their defensive coordinator, back where he belongs.
Who was their defense?
Dennis Allen.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Back where he belongs.
Yeah. Well,
that defense is going to be top 10 again.
Yeah.
As a head coach, I think Matt Eberflus was a good defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He was a bad head coach, though, man.
He was a bad head coach. He was a really
I
bad
can't be out on Caleb Williams. I think the guy's got skills, and he's got Matt Eberflus as his freaking head coach.
Well, Caleb Williams, nobody doubts that. I think nobody doubts that Caleb Williams has everything you need to be a good quarterback from a trait standpoint. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, Cam Ward is not even close to Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, or Drake May. Not even close. Then you can start the debate with Penix and McCarthy.
So you guys remember Eberflus's last game on Thanksgiving, right?
Oh, God.
I always get the Lions game on CBS because my family or on Fox or whatever. I always get the early game. And I like doing the Lions game. I like doing the tradition. Even when the Lions sucked, I like doing the game. But I said to the guys I was working with that day, it was only 2 of us, and it was one of my editors because he grew up a Vikings fan, and we were laughing. How is Eberflus going to screw this game up? And it was the third quarter, and when it was happening, we're just like, "Oh, this is gold. Let's go! Look, let's hope they can't get the playoff." And
I've never, you know, who screwed up? That was the biggest screw up on Thanksgiving since Jim Schwartz.
Oh yeah,
getting the penalty from frustration for
yes.
throwing the challenge flag. Yeah, that was the biggest screw up.
I'll tell you what, there were a lot of famous screw ups on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Leon Lett. What, that was Thanksgiving, wasn't it?
That was Thanksgiving. The coin toss incident. That was Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Phil Luckett.
You get some memorable moments on and it's always like the 2 marquee games. Oh, you know what else is on Thanksgiving? The butt fumble.
Yeah. Somebody put that in the chat. Butt fumble.
Yeah, butt fumble. Yeah, butt fumble's Thanksgiving night.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Butt fumbles.
Good pull. It's a good pull, Jeff Kerr.
I love the NFL on Thanksgiving. I actually have, and the NFL, I actually contacted the NFL on this, and they started doing it. I say, hey, I got these Thanksgiving numbers here. Can you guys run them by, like, the most rushing yards, most passing yards, this? I was getting this from some of the teams, and the NFL said, we can use this. And, they start keeping track of Thanksgiving and Christmas Day numbers.
The king of stats, Jeff Kerr, getting the NFL to get.
I always have a stat. I will always.
All right, give me an Azeez Ojulari stat. He's got 6 sacks and 300 snaps. That means he's, I don't know, Dwight Freeney. I don't know. What does it mean?
He might be.
You gotta have something good for me, Jeff, that I can.
You know what? I'll look it up and I'll send it to you guys. And you
all right.
What about any other stats? You got to have a stat on somebody.
This is my first day back.
Signings. Give me one stat on one.
Yeah, he's on vacation. He's
I'll tell you what. This is the first time I've been on this computer in 11 days.
I thought I saw you put out a good stat on your Twitter when you were over there, and then I said to myself, "I'm like, Jeff, enjoy Disney World. What are you doing on Twitter?" I think I said that to myself.
Hey, you should have put that on there. I would have agreed with you.
I thought I remember saying that to myself. It was right before your photo.
Well, you know, this is what happens when you wait in lines because you can't get lightning lane for everything.
Lightning lane at the Magic Kingdom. Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
When are you going on the Disney cruise?
I'll never go on
Disney cruises.
No, I like the parks, man. I
don't go on cruises. No.
Yeah, I'll go to Epcot and I could stay in Epcot and drink all day and ride all day. I could go to Hollywood and do that and just ride all day. But man, I'll tell you what, I love getting a drink from every single country.
There you go. Wait, John,
I-
you
yeah,
like Krause? You're a Krause guy, John?
Oh God, no.
I
Kruse,
was gonna
that's
say,
Yeah, I won't do
if
it.
I had to guess, I would not guess you as a Krause guy.
I'll tell you what, you might
Yeah.
as well hit the iceberg now. For on
Here's $5,000. Can I get my Legionnaires right away?
Yeah, really.
Screw
Yeah.
that German.
You know what? The
That's
way the airline
disgusting.
industry's going, I'm not sure if I want to go on planes anymore.
Yeah, seriously, it's true. It's true.
I mean, that was the first issue of the entire day. After I was already complaining about how bad the Orlando airport is, I get on my Delta flight, and the hydraulic fuel pump's busted. I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't take it.
Well, you're supposed to say untitled airline and then say Delta.
No,
Rhymes with Schmelta.
I believe in accountability, so you're getting it.
Yeah, well, airlines are the farthest thing from accountable. Jeff, one more question for you on the Eagles. I think we didn't talk about this today, and it happened last week when you were out. The CJ Gardner-Johnson trade. Like it? Dislike it? Where are you on it?
We talked about it. You
Yeah,
were
yeah,
doing
we
other
talked about
stuff.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
producing. I was
Yeah,
producing.
You were producing.
Yeah, you were doing your job. But
I was doing
But
the other part of my job. My apologies, Jeff. All right,
I'm
Jeff.
not surprised at the trade, but I like the return. I thought that was a good player for player trade.
So you like Kenyon Green?
Kenyon Green, baby.
I do.
15th overall pick.
And they like him too.
They liked him. I don't know if they still like him
Yeah,
after
well,
watching that Houston tape.
You
But
know
they
what?
traded for him.
Hey,
They traded
watching
for him.
that Houston offensive line last year got Bobby Slowick fired.
Well, now they got Ed Ingram. That'll help.
Oh yeah, they're much improved.
Well, I think.
And Tunsil's gone. What are they doing to CJ Stroud?
Speaking of Kenyon Green, I'll give you a stat. I'll give you a Jeff Kerr stat. I believe he was 4th worst when it came to pass protection, giving up pressures.
Yeah.
You know who the worst was? Ed Ingram.
Yeah, I was gonna say it has to be Ed Ingram.
Oh God,
really bad.
Somehow they got worse.
Yeah. So the other, I'm with the one that grew up a Vikings fan. I asked him yesterday because I'm still getting out of the airport, and he's like, "Yeah, out of the airport, yeah." I said, "Yeah, I'm doing cartwheels." He goes, "I am too." Ed Ingram ain't a Viking anymore. Near as Garrett Bradbury.
Yeah, it's amazing how many games they won over the years with those two guys on the interior.
That team, those guys got Sam Darnold killed and with another team.
Yeah. Yep, I'm with you. But everybody blames the quarterback, even though he's on his ass.
That was a great overreaction piece I did. I did do an overreaction piece for free agency last week, and people ate that up. Sam Darnold. And of course, remember, it's an overreaction piece, and I said it was an overreaction, but Sam Darnold, the Seahawks going for Geno Smith to Sam Darnold is a lateral move.
Well, you can make that up. Geno's a pretty good quarterback.
That's what I said. That's what I said, and everybody loved it. But they're like, "Wow, where did you come up with that?" I said,
"I think Geno's one of the more underrated quarterbacks, but I think Darnold.
Sam Darnold that much of an upgrade over Geno?
I don't think he is.
That's what I agree.
I mean, he's younger. He's much younger.
But I mean, if you're getting that same production out of Sam that you are out of Geno, I don't know.
I didn't love that move, but
I actually like the Raiders trading for him. I think that's a good bridge quarterback it buys him some time.
Well,
I love the story. I love the story of Geno. Even a couple years ago when he came on, and everybody was like, "How the hell is Geno Smith playing good?" I thought that was pretty cool.
For what the Raiders have had recently, Geno's a freaking massive upgrade.
Yeah. I think people get mad when you say the definition of mid, and that's what Geno is, but that's not a bad thing.
I don't think he's mid. I think he's above average.
I think if I ranked him, he'd be about 15 for 16, but that's okay. You can live with that.
I'd have to run it down, but I think he's a little bit above that, but I don't know. I'd have to run it down. But I don't think he's a bad NFL quarterback. But
Zander, you know what might have triggered you on the Jeff Enjoy Disney thing?
What?
When I'm just going through my Twitter with my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law saw it too. He goes, I kind of want to hear your response for this. And it was, "What's keeping this man from winning a Super Bowl?" And it was a picture of Dak Prescott, and I quote tweeted himself.
That's a good one.
And everybody's like, "Oh, you're such a hater." I'm like, I'm not a hater. I'm like, he has the worst playoff record percentage-wise. They're like, he plays good in the playoffs. I'm like, no, he plays good against in the playoffs.
Who
No,
said
he
that?
doesn't. He doesn't. You know
Who
what?
says that?
He pads his stats when he's down and when he plays under 500.
How many interceptions did Dak have in the last playoff game the Cowboys lost, which is to the Packers 2 years ago?
One of the
Three?
greatest stats. Yeah, one of the greatest stats I've ever come up with Dak. You know, Dak's 2 playoff wins are against the combined records of the teams he has beaten in the playoffs is the lowest winning percentage in NFL history for quarterbacks with multiple playoff wins.
Well, I mean, yeah,
that's a Jeff Kerr.
I'm gonna. What are we saying here? Dak Prescott's a bad quarterback?
No, not at all. But
No,
I just don't think he's got the Jalen factor.
Yeah, you got to play good in the biggest moments, man. I mean, come on, 2 or 3 picks.
Zander and I have had this. There is not a more broken evaluation system in the public than quarterback evaluation and the impact Super Bowl play has on quarterback evaluation or
playoff. You in the Hall of Fame too.
Well, it's a subjective thing. That's why some people.
Well, yeah, but if I say, and here's my example coming up, Josh Sweat, who should have been the MVP in the Super Bowl.
I agree with you.
But if I say to everyone after the Super Bowl, even after the 2.5 sacks by Josh Sweat, if I say everybody, hey, you know what? Josh Sweat's not as good as Myles Garrett. Everybody, yeah, duh, dumbass. Why would you even say that? Quarterback, no. Fucking completely unhinged. Completely unhinged. Every other position. If I go Timmy Smith after 205 yards, he's not that good. Everybody's like, yeah, you're right. What an anomaly. And by the way, I'm not saying Jalen Hurts isn't very good. He's very good. But my point is, the evaluation of the position, take Jalen Hurts out of it. Could be Eli Manning. The evaluation of the position is broken. Is fucking broken.
I just
you can be honest about every other position.
I think it's a lot different with Jalen because
I just think
I said take Jalen Hurts. The evaluation of the position is broken.
I just think Dak is a stat pattern. When it's 31-3, Dak's putting up the numbers, just like the rest.
Mahomes was padding stats too in a Super Bowl.
Patrick Mahomes had 2 of his worst games
in the Super Bowl
ever in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Maybe it's 2 worst games.
Yeah, Philly Godfather used to say this all the time. He stinks in Super Bowls.
No, he does. Like actually, Zander, his quarterback rating in Super Bowl is like in the 70s.
It's not that good.
Even the games he won, he's not spectacular.
No.
Am I going to say he's a bad quarterback? No,
not at
all. It's broken. That evaluation of that position is fucking destroyed. It's broken. It's broken. No other position. You can be honest and have honest discussions.
I tell people.
Jalen's not a one-off anymore. It's not a one-off anymore.
I've told people that my discussions on quarterbacks, I look at a couple stats. I don't care if you agree or disagree. It's all subjective, like you guys said.
It is. It's largely subjective. But the one thing I would say about Jalen, because I agree with John's point, right? Like Josh Sweat has 2.5 sacks in the Super Bowl. Nobody's like he's better than Myles Garrett.
Yeah,
like,
he's not
wrong on that. But I think with Jalen, it's different because now the 4-year body of work that he's done in his 4 years, it all kind of takes on a different meaning when you get to the mountaintop and you play great again in the playoffs on the way to doing it. Now that 22 Super Bowl, even with it being a loss, it gives context. This guy plays great in the biggest moments, even though he lost. Now he won one. So you look at the 4 years and you're like, geez, he gets there every year. Does it really matter if he doesn't pass my eye test? My eye test is faulty. So I think Jalen's a little bit harder, but I get what John's saying.
Yeah, I'm not, and people default to that, and they think I'm insulting Jalen Hurts. I can't fix that brokenness. I said Jalen Hurts was a good quarterback, a really good quarterback before the Super Bowl, and he is after the Super Bowl, and he would have been a good quarterback if they lost the Super Bowl. It's broken. The whole evaluation of the fucking position is broken. And I can't.
I love John Unhinged, man.
Well, what's your evaluation of Dak then, John?
Dak is a really good fucking quarterback.
He is a good quarterback.
Anybody who says else is insane. I mean, they completely fall off a cliff without him, and they're a good team with him. I think that should be an identifying fact that this guy's pretty fucking good.
I actually think his owner.
He's good. He's a choke artist, though. He choked in the playoffs.
Yeah, again, it's broken. I can't help.
Yeah, but do you disagree with that? He does throw picks in the playoffs. He's got 2 wins in 9 years.
The Dallas Cowboys as a whole have not played well in the playoffs, and he's part of that.
Dak specifically as well has not played good.
Again, I think I could be wrong, but I believe they had 46 active players in all those games you're talking about, and they all contribute. I know you bring up that Green Bay game. Could the fucking defense help at all?
Well, they
let Eric Jones go berserk.
Yeah, quarterbacks hold the ball the way they touch the ball in every single play on offense. So that's why I think they obviously are going to have a different gauge than any other position on the field.
But it's broken. The gauge is broken. I agree with you.
You're wrong about it being broken. I'm just saying I think it still is a different conversation.
This is my thing. I agree with John. The defense played like absolute garbage.
Yeah, they did.
But man, you got to do more than 3 and out.
And pick, you got it. 3 and out, pick. I mean,
everybody contributes. Mike McCarthy contributes.
Mike McCarthy is the worst thing. Well, to me, he's the greatest thing that ever happened to the Cowboys because you knew they weren't going to win anything.
All I'm saying is the guy is a top 10 NFL quarterback, and anybody who thinks otherwise just hates the Cowboys. And that's fine.
No,
Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League.
Dak can throw the ball really well.
No, he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be 60 million or whatever. Is he still number one? I don't even know.
Yeah, he is. So
he shouldn't be number one.
Personally, I would love to see Dak with another team, a more competent organization.
Did you see what Cooper Rush got as a backup in Baltimore?
Yes, that's insane.
What did he get?
He's terrible.
Like 2 years, 12, 13 million.
Yeah,
is there any job in the NFL that's better than being a mediocre to
They had a Pro Bowl backup
mediocre low end backup, or like even just a mediocre, like all the mediocre quarterback. And I'm not trying to pick on Geno Smith, but he's a perfect example, or Sam Darnold. I feel like the medium guys, the guys who are like not great, not terrible, but in the middle, they last longer than some of the guys who are great and fall off a cliff. Like, look at Carson Wentz. Oh, the rise to the MVP. Now he's lucky to get it on a backup. Meanwhile, Geno Smith signed $35 million a year.
I love Sam Darnold's contract. I think that's a great contract.
It's a good contract. It's just funny how these middle quarterbacks.
You know what I'm going to laugh at? How Pittsburgh got DK Metcalf. And all of a sudden, they got that problem. And they got George Pickens, who's a problem. By the way, he's a Georgia guy, too. And they're not going to have a quarterback. They're going to have Mason Rudolph throwing them the football. Yeah. Or they're going to have to go back to Russ.
Or the other side on Seattle. They trade away Lockett and Metcalf. And
they cut Arnold.
Yeah, they cut Lockett.
Yeah. But I know
they traded Metcalf.
I'll tell you what, though, Jackson Smith-Njigba is a really good.
He is good.
Yeah,
he's very good.
And they got Kupp, right? They got Cooper Kupp. Is that who they signed?
Yeah, they got Cooper Kupp now.
Yeah.
Can we start calling now? Jeff's not going to like this, but can we start calling Ohio State wide receiver U?
Oh, they are wide receiver U. I love that title.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
If you're a wide receiver in Ohio State, you're going to be good in the NFL. Period.
Yeah. Oh, you said Ohio State. I thought you said Penn State. I'm like,
no, Ohio State.
Dawson. Who are we talking? I don't know. I think LSU still has that crown. When you have
Ohio State,
it's Ohio State.
When you have Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson.
Well, they got the top guys LSU, but I think Ohio State is deeper.
I'll say this. As a guy who covered Brian Hartline when he was in college, I said he is the best route runner I have ever seen. I don't care, college or pro. That guy can recruit. That guy can coach. Holy crap, does he just produce wide receiver after wide receiver?
Who, Jeff? Who are you talking about?
Brian Hartline.
Right. He's their coach. He's
the coach, man. I'm telling you, that guy ran the most crispest route. I said, he'll make
I'm going to tell you the guy, year 13, I believe.
Adam Thielen. Yep.
Nobody runs better.
Hooked on the Thielen.
Nobody.
That's one of my favorite Chris Bermans. Hooked on the
Thielen. 13. Year 13, that guy has made it to. One of my favorite Nick Sirianni quotes, some reason I brought it up a couple weeks ago, when I was asking him about tryout players at rookie camp one year. He said, I said, what's your philosophy when you have these tryouts? You only have them for a very short window. And Nick Sirianni said, don't miss Adam Thielen.
Yep.
That's his philosophy. because Adam Thielen wasn't even an undrafted guy. He had to come in as a rookie tryout guy.
He was a D. Was it D2 or D3 he came out of?
Whatever Minnesota State is, I think it's 2.
Well, Minnesota State's where Hayden Fox won a national championship.
Yeah. Well, they changed it because of Hayden Fox.
Yeah.
It was Mankato State for years.
Yeah, it was Mankato State. Yeah.
And then that show, for those who don't know, Coach was a popular show back in the
For those
day.
of you SpongeBob fans, Patrick Starr is also Dauber Dubinsky.
Yeah. Coach with what's his name? Who's
Greg T. Nelson.
Greg T. Nelson. Thank you.
I'm rewatching Coach, by the way.
It became a popular show, and it was a fictional team at the time, Minnesota State, but it was so popular they changed Mankato State to Minnesota State.
I think it's Minnesota Mankato. I think that's the title now, where he's at.
Now, well, it's Minnesota State Mankato, because there's other Minnesota states, but yeah, it's Minnesota State.
You know, John, I'm going to get you a Screaming Eagles t-shirt.
Scream it. They are not the Screaming Eagles, though. I forget their nickname.
No, it's not. But yeah, you know what? I don't know how Hayden Fox did it, man. He had Howard Burley as his AD. He had to deal with Riley Pringle and Judy Watkins every day. Oh, and he was a miserable, you know what?
Hayden Fox and a legendary coach. Yeah.
Took Luther Van Dam and Dauber Dubinsky.
He had a very small coaching staff. That would bother me. That bothered me about that show, Jeff.
So in the early seasons, I don't know if you ever noticed, John. I don't know if you watched Coach recently. They do show the other coaches, but they're like background guys. Yeah, so, like he actually has a staff, but it's like Luther and Dauber are his guys, which is hilarious.
The Mavericks, by the way, Mankato State Mavericks, now Minnesota State Mavericks. There you have it. Not the Screaming Eagles.
I like it.
Good stuff. Jeff Kerr, thanks for joining in today, brother. Hope you had a great vacation. It's back to work, brother.
Yeah, we got you back to work. Sorry, Jeff. Sorry.
That's all right. Philly season starts in a week. I'm already ramping that stuff.
Are the Phillies going to be any good? Are they?
They're going to be good.
Why are we even playing baseball? Give it to the Dodgers.
They ain't beating the Dodgers.
He already gave up. His Yankees are lost Garrett Cole.
Yankees.
They're
out,
man.
Yankees are crippled, man.
Yeah, they're too old.
It's funny you sign 35-year-old guys and they break down.
And they break down. It's funny how that works.
Yep, they waited. Yep, their window's closing up, I think, on New York. But all right, Jeff, we appreciate it, man. We'll see what happens. We'll be following all your work, and we'll talk to you again next week on Birds 365. Thank you, brother.
Yep, see you guys next Monday.
All right,
see you, bud.
Kerr joining in here on Birds 365. Great stuff from Jeff Kerr. A good conversation.
I'm sure people are pissed off that we went on tangents that didn't involve the Eagles.
Well, I love tangents. Tangents sometimes are a necessary program.
Oh, they're very necessary.
They're very necessary program. Are you kidding me? Everybody has a tangent once in a while. What would we be, John? We'd be robots if we didn't go on tangents every once in a while.
Where else are you going to get coach knowledge, coach TV knowledge?
Yeah, that's true.